Well, thank you for all of our Toastmasters here, and especially Vivien, your speech that you gave this evening. It's quite an interesting one. It was speak with a purpose, writing with a purpose, and then talking about rigid thinking. And I do like the way there's a number of things that I liked and a couple of suggestions as well. But let me start in terms of the content part. You went in and gave us an explanation, kind of drew us in about what rigid thinking really is. And I thought that was helpful because maybe it gave one aspect of rigid thinking. We often think of a rigid person as, boy, no matter, you could show them all the evidence in the world, but they're still going to stick to one view. And we see plenty of that in today's world. But I think the element that you show is rigid thinking is often we have a certain view within ourselves of, are we good enough? Or, gee, why weren't we solve that problem as well? As why is this person criticizing me? And being able to address rigid thinking is a way of being able to move beyond that. You talked about the 5 W's, the who, what, where, when, and why, as a tool to use so we can ask a question of somebody who may be questioning us or being critical of us and explain that. One thing I would have liked to see is I noticed that you did kind of circle back a little bit when you were talking about those 5 whys. And it was really particularly something I'd point out because it kind of took your timing right up against the wire. What you might have done is maybe just went to those 5 whys and gave maybe 1 or 2 examples of each of those, of the type of question that you might be able to ask in response to maybe some critical point that somebody raised. And that would have driven home a little bit more. So in terms of the way you presented yourself, you've got some excellent expressions. You're easily engaged people, and you had your gestures appropriate. Again, thing to think about is, can you get a little bit further back from the camera so that some of those gestures you use, which were quite effective, would be a little bit more visible to us. You've got a nice speaking voice. You've got a good range. Again, a little bit of maybe changing the vocal variety, maybe like when you're asking those questions, you might be able to use to a different pitch to show that you're talking to another individual. But overall, you get great content in delving in with a challenging thing, dealing with the rigidity of thinking, giving examples of how to address it, maybe just give you a little bit more time in your favor by kind of tightening it a bit, and perhaps using a little bit of the space in back of the camera for your gestures and a little bit of variety, maybe to show certain points. But great job, and of course, always looking forward to your next speech. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Don.